As you've probably read in the title of this video, I am going to vibe code my way all the way to $100,000. It may sound a little bit ambitious, but I truly believe that this is the best time to actually do something like this, especially with how fast AI is rising. I don't think there's much time, honestly. Um, I've seen similar challenges before, and I feel like most of them were not very truthful about it. They always seem like some sort of marketing to something that they are trying to sell or whatever. And this is the very far opposite. I hope that's right. This is the opposite that I want to show in this channel. I want actually to be as transparent as possible with everything that I do. I am a software engineer for more than 10 years now, and I've made a few apps that were financially successful. But the things that I did right in the past, they are no longer redoable. I don't know if that's a word, but I hope it is. I can't replicate them anymore. But there's one thing that I can replicate, and I'm gonna talk to you about it. So the plan is, I took some notes to not lose myself here. As I said, I'm gonna share everything that I do, so why am I going to code a specific thing? How do I find new ideas? How am I going to find customers, and so on and so forth? The second part is, I am going to make everything that I code in the beginning for free. My main goal in the beginning is to actually build something that is truly useful and that people will actually enjoy using. And when people will actually enjoy using something and it's useful, they are going to do the marketing for you. So my initial plan is exactly this. I'm going to code things for free and gain popularity. So it's going to be a numbers game in the beginning. We are going to code a lot of things. And the third thing is, and this is something I've never seen anyone do before, I'm going to code exclusively in the beginning Chrome extensions. Chrome extensions have several pros in my opinion. There are very few developers coding proper Chrome extensions. There's a lot of visibility because the Chrome store keeps recommending extensions. There's no hosting your domain to pay. It's easier to deploy, and it's more difficult to monetize, technically speaking, which is good for us. So anyways, our very first Google Chrome extension to kickstart this project is going to be a YouTube comment scraper. I find that it's crucial to have a tool to scrape data like this, and then we can simply feed it to an AI and find potential pain points, ideas, suggestions. So let's start. So this is the app that I saw, and of course it's really useful, but they only have a free trial. And of course I want to be able to use this unlimited and without paying. So I'm going to make my own version of this, and I'm going to make it actually as a Chrome extension, as we talked before. So the first thing that I do here is to chat back and forth with Claude so I can really understand what my MVP is going to look like. By now I know that I want to use Zustand and I want to use tabs for the UI and design. I also want to use the sidebar instead of the typical pop-up that we have in Chrome extensions. And lastly, I am not sure whether I should be using the YouTube API or not, which is obvious I should, but I wasn't sure whether there was an easier way to fetch comments. So of course the YouTube API is what I needed, and I went ahead and created a YouTube API, and then I went ahead to create the design. So for the design I actually used ChatGPT. I believe that it's doing an amazing job. I basically just tell it what I want to achieve. So I tell it it's a Chrome extension, I tell it some design patterns that I want. For example, I want the tabs, I want a specific font family, maybe some specific colors if I have an idea of what I want, and I just let it work its magic, and honestly it's been really good. So once everything is completed, I send it all to Claude to actually code the design that GPT generated to me. I always use BEM, as you can see. BEM is a coding methodology for HTML and CSS. It makes it much easier for AI and developers in the past to actually find the code. So I always highly recommend using BEM for your HTML and CSS files. And this is what the design looks like. Not bad. As you can see here, the tabs, they look a little bit different, but that's fine. So this was the entire conversation, and this is the end result. As you can see, it's pretty decent. Not perfect yet, but this is good enough for what we need. Now that we have the HTML file, we actually need to transform this into a Chrome extension. So something that I always do is to actually create a samples folder, and in here I'm going to add any type of code that I want my AI to use as a reference. So I created here the sidebar example, which is all that code that Claude did, based on the GPT-2 images. And based on this, I actually asked my AI here. In this particular case, I actually used Claude as well. So I asked it to code based on this, right? And of course, I added a few other instructions here. And for this particular project, I'm using Supabase Edge Functions to actually wire up my API key with the project. So once it was done, this is what it was looking like. So the comments were actually fetching successfully, which was a surprise, and they just went ahead and started to work on the bulk functionality. So the way bulking works is very simple. You just add all URLs you want individually, or you add a single playlist, and then you can fetch all comments at once. And I added some buttons as well to easily open them in Claude or ChatGPT, and it was working exactly as I wanted. Next, I created the logo for my Chrome extension, and I used ChatGPT once again, and actually I really liked the result. I just asked for a minimalist type of logo, and gave it a little bit of background about what the Chrome extension was about, and yeah, I really liked the result. So every time I add a logo to a Chrome extension, I don't actually resize it manually. I place the logo in the root folder, as you can see here, and I give it this instruction. So I tell it which logo I added, where is it located. In this case, it was a different name when I added it back then. And then I just say resize it and replace it throughout the Chrome extension. So you don't need to, because when you upload a Chrome extension, it needs to be in 3 different sizes, if I'm not mistaken. As you can see here, 4 different sizes. So it's better to just ask your AI agent to do all of this for you, and it's going to automatically resize the image and so on and so forth. And so the last thing that I added here was actually a metadata with some information about the video and the history tab, so you can see the previous videos that you scraped. And also in the footer here, it still needs a little bit of work, but I want somewhere where you can leave feedback about bugs, recommendations and stuff like that, and also leave us a review. I'm also considering adding a pop-up that shows maybe after 24 hours when the user installs the Chrome extension and asks for the review. So I'm actually going to study implementing something like that, but I feel like for now this is pretty good for the MVP. So I was wrong, I actually added the model that I was talking about. So basically after 10 minutes the user is going to see this, If they choose anything below 3 stars, they get a feedback window. If they choose anything else like 4 or 5 stars, then they can actually review it. And the feedback is actually wired up to my Supabase. So if I add anything here, let's do a quick test. You can see that it's now here, and I'm also fetching the fingerprint, which is basically an ID, so I can recognize when it's the same user sending a specific feedback. And now we are ready to publish it live. So for all my Chrome extensions, I actually have this bat here, which simply is going to zip my gist folder and create a production ready zip file for the Chrome store. So it's ready, and as you can see, now I have this folder with all of my files. And this name is actually wrong because it's from a different project, so let me rename it. And this is our very first Chrome extension, so after that I just wrote the description, added some images, and publish it live. Usually it takes about anywhere between 12 hours to 3 days in my experience to have your Chrome extension live. But yeah, I hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching this far, and if you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments. I would be happy to hear them. See you for the next episode.